go ahead.
Okay. This is the June 10th, 2025 Appointments Committee meeting. This meeting is being recorded and will be rebroadcast on the Town of Barnstable Government's Access Channel in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapters 30A, Section 20. The chair must inquire whether anyone else is recording this meeting, and if so, please make their presence known. All right, roll call.
Councilors Burdick, Bloom,
Here.
Mendez,
Here.
Crowe,
Here.
Turkelson. You have quorum.
All right. Mr. Ward,
I'm up.
you're up.
May I join the table?
Oh, public comment, I'm sorry. I'm out of practice.
Oh, wait.
No, okay. All right, Mr. Ward.
Thank you.
Mahasi. Welcome.
Thank you, it's nice to be here.
All right, Councilor Crowe.
I'm already on the spot, okay. Frank, I've seen you a number of times, I don't think we've ever met. What can you tell me about your background that would make you a valuable addition to CFAC?
Well, I've owned property in the town since '05. I've lived here full-time since '15. I didn't give you much information on that application, but I'm a financial person by nature. My undergraduate degree is in accounting from what's now UMass Dartmouth. My MBA is in finance, which came from Bentley University. I began my career with KPMG in public accounting, had the opportunity to see a number of different businesses and audit some cities and towns, including Pawtucket, Rhode Island, and Providence, Rhode Island. So I've seen municipalities from inside and out. I then went on to spend, well, I went with an engineering firm and in their audit group. I've been to more nuclear power plants than I'd ever want to go to in my lifetime, and or geothermal plants. I then went into the lottery business with GTech Corporation in 1986 and spent 30 years there. I created their internal audit department, started their financial planning department, and retired there as the chief financial officer. GTech's relative size, like $1 billion in revenues. I had a financial staff of 200 people that were North America, South America, Europe, Asia, and Africa. So I've seen a lot of different numbers. I think looking at the financial aspects of Barnstable, the 275 million, I think with Mark Milne giving you financial information, it's tremendous. He's as good as it gets.
Yeah.
And he really is. He and I have talked a couple of times over the years about numbers, and he has complete knowledge off the top of his head. He's tremendous. I think there may be a few things in the management reporting of those numbers that I would like to recommend, such as if you look at some of the things that you folks get. The comprehensive financial plan is 162 pages. If you can digest 162 pages, you're better than I am. Or, for instance, if you ever print something and then you want to go back at it, some of the things that we don't do. So who created it and when did they create it? That should be on every presentation that comes to everyone. So that if you pulled out page 3 because you thought it was interesting, now you don't know when it was created, all you have to do is put it in a footer. Some of the most basic things for presentations don't exist. Or if you want to understand headcount, which is a driving force of most of the numbers, all you have to do is go to page 156, and it will be in a different format from all the other financial numbers that you see. I'm a big fan of trend analysis, so that you can see numbers, you can see heads. Most of your costs are driven by heads. And to understand the total cost of ownership, that every time you hire an employee, you have to consider that other 20 years of retirement in that cost, which sometimes is forgotten. So those are the things that I would like to try to help by suggesting to the CFAC and or others that there could be some easier management reporting that I've seen over the years that might help you digest and understand the numbers, so that if the enterprise funds, the 9 or 10 that exist, they get as much information on this page as the 225 million of the general fund. And then some of the terms that are in there, the average citizen doesn't know. They don't know what the PEG enterprise is, the PEG. But if you put next to the cable TV, a picture should come to mind. So that I think there are ways that we can improve on breaking the financial information down into more management reporting. It's fully compliant with everything it needs to be for generally accepted accounting principles. But there could be some management reports that could make your life easier than hunting through 162 pages. That's what I'd like to try to bring to the CFAC committee. Hopefully they'd be interested in hearing that. They may not be, but.
Other than Mark Millen, have you met any other people on the CFAC committee?
I met Hector. I met him it was a windmill meeting at the Centerville Library,
Yeah.
Years ago.
Yeah.
And he talked to me about this opening.
Yeah.
I said, I'm interested. I'm interested in what happens in the town. I live on Lake Wequacket. I'm in precinct 2. I do care about what's happening with water quality. I did get involved a bit with town politics, the Citizens Academy. Unfortunately, I picked 2020 to do it, and they cut it off due to COVID.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to learn and understand the ins and outs of how the different departments work. We never did get a chance to meet.
Oh,
Excuse me.
Seth Burdick, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Sorry, I was late.
It's-
Only brief, only a little bit though. Good.
So I think I now have the time. I've been retired for 10 years. I've been involved in other town activities. I spent a lot of time at the HYCC coaching basketball, the Shades Youth Basketball. Coached a lot of the middle and high school kids for a number of years. I am a treasurer for 2 nonprofits, one of the Wequacket Lake Protective Association and my neighborhood, Wequacket Heights. I'm a member of the Austral Men's Club. I was their treasurer for a while as well. So I get along with numbers. And I think not everyone does. And I've spent 30 years trying to explain numbers to non-financial people because the majority of most company managers are not financial people. And people that own your own business, you look at numbers probably very differently from what you're seeing. And you're probably more interested in cash flows, sources and uses of funds. Do you have enough cash for payroll? In those types of things, and looking beyond, if someone doesn't pay you, will you have enough money? The town's financially sound. Mark Milne is, I love him because he's as conservative as I am when it comes to numbers. So. And then you have to have some ability to be acknowledged and be nice to people. I think your background was involved in counseling, was that true? Or?
Yes.
So then you are the soft side of numbers, so that the numbers are black and white, but you have to have the ability to explain them in terms that aren't in someone's face. But,
My numbers were standard deviations, that sort of thing. Yeah.
there's a big difference between those numbers
Yeah,
and deficit and credits. All you have to do is add, subtract, multiply, and divide. And, so it's one of those things where I have specific examples of what I would like to try to offer to people, but some of them are the most basics. I mean, I love some of these things, but if you take that page out, you don't know who created it, when they created it. All you know is a page and number. So what's happened to me over the years is I've pulled some things out and then later I go, wow, where did I get that? I can't tell if it was internally created, externally created. I don't know the date that it was created. So it's tough to ask a question. And you should be able to take a page out of any one of those. Because when you get 160 pages, you probably keep 3. Then you can't remember where you got them unless you write it down on it. So some of those basic things.
You said GTEC, how long have you worked at GTEC?
I was at GTEC for 30 years. If you've ever, most people don't even know who GTEC is.
Were they the lottery company?
They're the lottery company. If you've ever bought a lottery ticket anywhere in the world, we had 70% of the world market.
I think my brother from, he was from, what's the, RISD.
Okay.
Had something to do with one of the designs back 30 years
Well, it's
ago.
the
40
big,
years
the
ago.
glass building in front of water fires, right in front of, we didn't really want a glass building, but some politicians did.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful building.
We love glass. Anything glass is good.
Well, there you go. There's a lot of glass there. There's a lot of glass.
So can you repeat that off with Councilor Burdick?
Yeah. I probably only missed a minute.
Well, see, that's what different perspectives. You would like glass, right? You want people to buy food, right? Or,
Of course.
So therefore, everyone has a perspective, and I think you can detail some reports towards that, maybe in the language that they understand. How many people might walk through your store? How many people might need your services? And then how can we treat everybody fairly? So it would be nice if the average citizen could understand our financial reports. There's no way that they do. I mean, it's, when the technical terms are Property taxes, they get. Charges for services, they might understand. Intergovernmental, they don't have a clue. Other taxes, that's a good one. Then we have other. We have other taxes and we have other, and we have trust funds and we have general fund subsidies. People don't know what those are. We could make those a little more understandable so that a picture comes to mind and people would nod, either they agree or they disagree. I'm sorry, my phone is ringing in my ear. It's the downside of, I got these new hearing aids. I hope we can stop that, sorry. I'm learning how to hear through hearing aids, I don't know if you've had that. And it
I'm
rings-
doing that myself now.
Well, I put it on silent, which in my mind should stop it from coming through. But once it starts ringing, that's all you can hear, and you have to, I'm still learning that you can do it. Sorry. But I think there are some terms here that we could make into plain English. But if you've ever bought a lottery ticket, if you go to any Massachusetts, all the terminals here, G-Tech manufactured those terminals, put the central systems together. They sold all those terminals to Massachusetts way back when. Mass does their own thing with the lottery. But most of the states in the US, G-Tech, which is now IGT, we were acquired several years back. G-Tech would own the equipment and get a percentage. So every time you bought a ticket, there was a time when G-Tech would get a nickel. And the magnitude of those nickels is, well, yeah, it's like, it used to be 30, it's probably close to $100 billion a year that goes through lottery terminals in the US in the average year. Massachusetts is incredibly high. There was a time when the average family of four was spending $1,600 a year on lottery tickets. It's probably now closer to $2,500 or $3,000. But most of the people in this room are spending maybe $20 a year, if that. You buy them at Christmas time or whatever. But it's interesting how Massachusetts has the highest payouts, so people actually stop in Massachusetts to buy instant tickets because you win more.
Interesting.
But that's another time for conversation.
Thanks, Greg. Anybody else?
Council Bloom?
Can I say a professional wow? I think you're fantastic for the position.
Thank you.
And I like the fact that you're fiscally conservative, and I like the fact that you're willing to communicate and ensure that communication with folks like me who don't know anything about the lingo can understand a little bit better. And I don't.
You're the majority of the world. Most people fear numbers,
Yeah.
and therefore they avoid them.
Yeah.
And we might be able to bridge some of that and get a few more people to ask questions. There aren't 3 people in the town that will come in and ask questions about some of these because they don't even understand the term.
Yeah.
Everyone asks the question. And then the answer, they just have to go, oh, that's great, thank you.
Yeah. So I just feel you're fantastic. I don't see the need to look any further, quite frankly,
Any questions?
Um,
You always have questions for people.
I do.
watched
Have you watched me on these
it.
things?
I watched a couple.
Some of my other committees, I go on tirades, but no, not necessary here. So I caught the tail end of what you had to say, but I'm assuming that it was based on ways to streamline and make more accessible our financial filings and all of our information in order to make it, the CFAC be a more effective means of communication.
I think
For
they're good,
financial,
but I think
yeah.
they're working in the right direction. I think there's
Right.
some things I can help them with.
Absolutely. Because, as you say, language of numbers, and of late, we've been more about trying to make clear the mechanics of government to people so they don't feel bamboozled or hijacked by things. So clarity never hurts. But I always ask about people's CV and the nature of their work. You worked for 30 years with the large technical side of gambling, well,
Yes,
tickets.
I was the
essentially.
numbers person. I had started the internal audit group way back in 1986, started the financial planning group. It was a relatively small company at the time I joined. We probably only had maybe a dozen US contracts, and then grew to be multi-billion dollars and 70% of the world market because they had a very good product.
Right, and if they were acquired, who acquired them? The person that had the other 30%?
Well, no,
Or a
it's interesting
transnational
because
conglomerate?
it was primarily a family-owned company from Italy. They were wonderful people. And then they acquired the number one slot machine company in the world. And then they changed everybody's name to that number one slot machine company, IGT, International Gaming Technologies, which if you know slot machines, you know that.
I never gamble. I don't even buy, I'm not even one of the $20 a year people. I am a $0 a year.
It's good to get a scratch ticket for the Christmas dinner and everybody scratches.
I guess maybe. Maybe this year is the first year for me.
If you don't play, you can't win.
Yeah.
Selling dreams for $1.
But then, in terms of so you say, it says you've owned property in Barnstable for 20 years,
Yes.
and your primary residence was,
I grew up in North Attleboro. I
Yeah.
lived in North Attleboro for 30 some odd years as well. That's where I have two daughters. That's where they grew up. I went to high school there. They went to high school there. So, but the plan was to retire here.
right,
We bought the house on Wequacket in '05, and then spent 10 years making it ours, if you will, and retired here in 2015.
well, there you go. And then you haven't applied for any boards, committees, or commissions of the town, but you have your other work that you did.
I
You did
volunteer for the Lake Protective Association
Yeah.
as their treasurer, and my neighborhood association for Wequacket Heights
Right.
Association. I was the treasurer for a while for Austral Men's Club as well.
Right. Well, there you go. I don't think I have any further questions. I think that pretty much covers it. You can probably do a good job. How many openings are on the CFAC now?
One.
Just one? And have there been 100 applications?
No.
I know, that's the way it usually goes. But so, and then you must be, like you said, you met Mark Millen and Hector and those people. And do you watch their meetings? What do you think about how they're operating now?
I've watched a few of their meetings.
Uh-huh.
I didn't want to create too many opinions.
No, of course,
Because I don't know any of the people other than Hector.
right.
So, they'll watch this and say, oh, he's gonna come in and try to change the rules. You have to be able to have the gentler side and get everybody's consensus. That's how things get done.
Sometimes I'm not gentle though.
Well, okay, well, sometimes I could be, especially as my hearing was going, I would get louder and people would stop yelling. Jeez, I didn't think I was. So
That's funny. Well, that's all the questions I had for you. Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
I mean, I got nothing. You answered everything before I asked. Everything that came to my mind, you picked off, so.
thank you.
I mean, you definitely have the chops, so.
I'd like
Experience.
to give back to the town a bit. I mean,
And the thing that's impressive to me is you bring a different perspective than anybody else on that committee.
you know them better than I
Well,
already.
you're a true numbers guy. You're a true, and what I mean by that is,
Debits and credits.
yeah, a true numbers guy, and that's what we need in this town.
It will, you own a business. If you don't know your numbers,
Yeah.
you won't be in business long.
I was gonna ask if you wanted to start running my business,
Yeah.
you know, but
No,
we're paying enough. But no, but you're absolutely right.
Business is, you have to know the numbers, otherwise, same thing in town. We do need to know our numbers, and I know Millen does know his numbers,
Oh, he does.
which is a great thing.
Mark's great.
Yeah, it is
He
tremendous.
really is.
We've got about, what, a year left, and a year and a half of Mark Millen? That's it.
That's a challenge, the new,
That's why we need a good comprehensive financial advisory committee.
that's the thing.
One of the main reasons we need to have
We're prepping you
a
for Mark's
fully,
job.
there you go. That's right. The worst finance director in history.
Anybody else have any other questions?
No.
No? All right.
Thank you very much.
Painless, wasn't it?
Yeah, thanks for coming. I'm sorry I was late.
Not a problem. I totally understand.
You gotta eat, Seth.
Yeah, I got it.
Thanks again.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you.
It's a pleasure, Frank. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Cynthia, appreciate
Oh,
your
you're
help.
very welcome.
Sorry about my back that whole time, I apologize.
I'll be in touch with you tomorrow.
Haircut, I like your shirt.
Hi.
Please take a seat.
Yeah, sure. I wasn't sure I was in the right place.
I'll leave the room. The seat's nice and warm. Thanks again, folks,
Thanks, Frank.
appreciate it.
Stephanie?
I'm Stephanie.
Step right up to the table.
All right.
Perfect timing. Look at
This
that.
higher chair so I don't look so low.
Hi, Stephanie. I'm Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
Charlie.
Hi, is there gonna be a test? Hi, nice to meet
Seth
you.
Burdick, nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you too, Seth.
All right, Council Bloom.
So Stephanie, you want to be on the Council of Aging, and tell us why you want to do that.
So I'm a nonprofit person. I've been in the field for about 20 years, and I really like seniors, and I feel like I have some skills I could bring to the council. Something I've been interested for a while. I've done some volunteer work in the past with Minuteman Senior Services in Burlington and enjoyed the experience. So I retired a couple of years ago and wanted to do some more interesting work, volunteer work here. And met up with John Jope, I guess his name is, who's in charge of the, or has been in charge of the board there, and liked him a lot, met some of the people, and seemed like a good fit for me.
With the nonprofits that you worked for in the past.
Yeah, so before I retired 2 years ago, I spent about 12 years at Minuteman ARC, which sounds similar to the other thing, but Minuteman ARC helps people with developmental disabilities, located in Concord. It's a regional program. And I was the chief development officer there, so doing mostly fundraising and marketing and events and so on. And before that, I worked for a community chest out of the Concord Carlisle area, doing similar work. Sort of like the Needy Fund here, I guess, is the best thing I can think of that's similar to that. So, yeah.
Are there any particular programs that you feel we need to be looking at? Not specific programs that are out there, but any things we could do to help our senior population? Is there anything you can think of that's helpful that hasn't been explored around here?
Yeah. Well, it seems like cost of programs is always a thing, and because I've been in fundraising, that's where my brain goes initially. And I know the Friends organization that has been supporting the Council on Aging is disbanding. And so any of those kinds of funds, I guess, are going to go away. So I guess I would love to see what could happen with maybe some fundraising. And related to that is just, I feel like it's a wonderful facility and program. There's just so many different things for people to do, but I'm not sure how many people know about it. I know I was surprised at the breadth of it when I went for a visit, so I think just getting the word out more would be helpful too.
Thank you. Fantastic.
Councilor Florida.
Me? All right. Sure. So my questions generally will focus on your CV and that sort of thing. So nonprofits, 20 years, fundraising, PR, MBA,
Right.
that's pretty good. From Sloan School, MIT. So your work experience was basically nonprofits the whole way through?
No, when that's nonprofit, I'd say was my third career.
Uh-huh.
My first career was in economics.
Right, and the collegiate level and in instruction and that, or?
No, I worked for applied economics company called Data Resources. They were eventually bought out by McGraw-Hill, so I did that for a while, and then I went back to school and got my MBA. And then initially I was in PR and marketing for the high-tech industry. Worked for digital and Data General. And then I got into nonprofit after that.
Right. That sounds entertaining. It does. It's three different worlds to be in.
Yeah, 3 different worlds.
And it was all in Massachusetts or in the area?
Yep, I've always lived in Massachusetts.
And you were a native of the Concord, Carlisle area, is that what you said?
I grew up in Worcester.
In Worcester?
Yeah.
How are things in Worcester lately?
Uh,
I haven't been to Worcester in a long time.
yeah, me neither.
Yeah, I suppose that
my family's not
says
there
it all.
anymore. Yeah, Worcester goes up and down.
Yeah.
I always think it's gonna do bigger, better things, but it kind of gets in its own way.
Yeah, one step forward and two steps forward and one step back. And then upon your retirement, you moved to Barnstable?
Yes, we bought our house in about 8 years ago. Say 2000. 17, I think.
Uh-huh.
And then when I retired 2 years ago, we sold our other house and moved here.
Right, full-time life here on Cape Cod.
Right.
How do you find it so far?
I love it. It's been great.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
And you're not on Lake Waquaca too, are you?
No.
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 In Centerville, though.
Yes.
And as far as your nonprofit engagements here on the Cape, have you found anything to volunteer for up to this point?
Yeah, I just came from the family pantry
Oh, yeah.
in Harwich. I'm a shift supervisor there once a week on Tuesday afternoons.
Yeah.
So I cut out a little bit early so I could get here.
Is it as busy there as it is at the other food pantries on Cape Cod?
It's been really busy up until I want to say the last month or two when
Uh-huh.
things I think are getting tricky in the world for people that are either
Right.
here legally, not legally.
So people are keeping their heads down.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That's my impression, and that's what
That's too
people
bad.
think. Yeah,
Well, and so insofar as if they're not getting the food that they need.
exactly.
Well, that's too bad. But otherwise, I've heard just anecdotally from food pantries around the Cape that they're so very busy
Yeah,
and that the need just grows and grows.
yeah, it's surprising, the
Yeah.
need. And this particular, the family pantry, I don't know if you all know about it, but they get most of their food from the Boston Food Bank. And the food bank has been cut back by the
Of course.
government, so less food from there, but they serve hundreds and hundreds every week. There's like 600 volunteers that make it all work. It's a pretty big
Yeah.
operation. I think it's the biggest pantry on the Cape, if I'm not
Does it do
mistaken.
the whole Upper Cape or Lower Cape?
It does.
I should say.
Anybody on the Cape that wants to go there and get food can get food.
Yeah.
So there's some initial, you have to show proof of where you live and you know, get a little account, but they don't turn away anybody. They don't ask for your income. It's a well-run place. And
Sounds like it.
I was a little surprised at that when I first got there, that they don't ask for income verification or anything, but once you work there for a while, you realize that nobody's there because they
Just to
want
be a
there.
cheapskate.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, all
it's-
of it.
Yeah, it's all
Really need
people that need it.
Anything else other than, or aside from the food pantry there?
Volunteer stuff that I
boards or
do.
things that you've done.
I've joined the local church, the Greek Orthodox Church, St. George, and there's a women's club there that does philanthropic work that I've been involved
Well,
with.
that's good, you're staying busy.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Well, it's odd to go from full-time work
No, of
to
course,
not
it's
working,
nothing at
so.
all. It probably feels great for like the first 6 months and then it's like, what do I do with my life?
Yeah,
You can ask Charlie
a
about
little
that,
bit.
and John, you guys are both retired.
You fill the,
Yeah, then you run for town council.
And my husband's still working, he's got one more year, he's a teacher over at Sturgis,
Oh, really?
across the street.
Yeah.
That way,
Yeah.
it's a block east, yeah, so he'll work for another year or so, and
And be free.
so,
And I mean, with there's many boards, committees, and commissions that could use someone with your, credentials. But the Council on Aging is the one you think you'd be most well-suited to, or the one you would prefer to serve on?
well, I thought it would be a good fit based on my interests.
Right, what you wanna do,
More than
exactly.
anything.
Not get drafted into doing something like
Yeah,
being on the Comprehensive Financial Advisory
Well,
Committee
I
or the
looked
Trust
into,
Fund Advisory Board.
there's a, what's it called? Capabilities that serves people
Uh-huh.
with disabilities, which is very similar
Similar
to
to
where
what
I
you had
came
done.
from, and I tried to link up with them initially and talk to their CEO. I thought about a board position, but she basically wanted to offer me a job, so I
Who
thought,
wants that?
I don't think so, and we were supposed to stay in touch, but that didn't really happen.
Yeah,
But no, I'm still casting around.
of course.
To the extent that another board might need me or want me, I'd be very interested
Yeah,
to talk to them.
because we're always looking for good people from all the 44. Is it still 44 or is it 41
Well,
boards,
we're
committees,
eliminating
and
some on the
commissions?
committee on committees, so it's dropped down to about 40 right now.
All right,
40 boards?
I always say 44,
Oh.
but there's 40 boards, committees, and commissions now. I guess technically there's still 44, but there's always spots for good people who want to volunteer. Anyway, that's a long time I've been asking you questions. I will
Yeah,
say
no, it's okay.
that's my final question.
Councilor Crowe.
Stephanie, you said, other than contacting Cape Cod Collaborative, you've worked in the the mentally deficient, handicapped area, and where was that first? You did that?
Where was it?
Fundraising, yeah.
Minuteman Arc, which is located in Concord, and it serves about 10 or so towns.
ARC sounds familiar. What does that
So
stand
there are about 20 ARCs across the state
Yeah.
and many more across the country. They were started all of them were started most of them were started in the 1950s, and ARC used to stand for Association of Retarded Children.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have kept the word ARC, but it doesn't mean that anymore. Yeah, so that's, if it sounds familiar, it's because you probably know people in those programs or have heard about them.
Well, I have a lot of experience in it because I have an older brother who's mentally handicapped, so in Connecticut. So we've done a lot with those firms down there,
Wow.
and they've done a good job. You familiar with the Cardinal Cushing School up here? at all?
I've heard of it, I haven't
Okay,
done anything with it per se.
okay. What else did I want to ask? I think that's it. I think the other questions have been answered for me. Jeff?
Yeah, asked and answered. I just have one question for you. You have experience in fundraising. Do you have experience with grant acquisition? Okay,
I did quite a bit of grant writing at my last job.
okay. Because, grant acquisition, a lot of people aren't aware of it, is very helpful in municipal government. And especially through grant acquisition, you can actually expand what a board or committee can do. Different outreach programs, about that.
I mean, based on getting more funding
Yeah,
for the organization.
Absolutely,
Yes.
okay.
I don't have a lot of experience with state or federal grants. Most of mine have been more community oriented. But I have a little bit of experience with state level stuff.
You have more experience than I do, so. All right.
Well, state and federal grants are really hard and apparently getting harder, so tricky, let's put
Yeah.
it that way. I spent a lot of my time making connections with different places that fund organizations like the one I was working for, the one that your brother probably gets services from. And over time, it gets a lot easier to continue to get funding from those same people once
The
they know you.
reason why I ask that is because where we have a changing climate as far as money coming into the town, especially federal money, we're going to have to start doing more grant acquisition, outreach to feed the beast. It's just the way it's gonna have to be.
Yeah,
And so anybody who can bring that experience, even though they may not write for the grant themselves, they may have the resource. Or they may know somebody that has a resource to do that. And when you mentioned that, it just kind of
yeah.
piqued my curiosity. But
The COA brought that up too, something about grant writing, and everybody looked at me and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's kind of a shortage of grant writers out there.
yeah, there is.
A lot of people don't want to do it or hate to do it or whatever, but I actually enjoyed it. I liked the writing process, and then if the grant came in, it was exciting, so.
Great. Anybody else have any other follow-ups?
I do, actually. Where in Greece are your family from?
My mother's family's from Crete, and my father's family is more the Peloponnese area.
Yeah.
Are you Greek?
Half Greek.
Are you? What's your last
But
name?
I was brought up Greek. Bloom.
Bloom, okay.
Bloom is a Jewish name, and they're from Worcester.
Oh, goodness.
But my Greek family is here from Hyannis, and my grandmother was from Kos, the island of Kos. My grandfather was from the island of from the mountain village Agios Petros in the Peloponnese.
Do you speak Greek? Yeah.
I've lost it, but
Are you part of St. George's Church? Have we seen each other before?
probably not. No, I haven't been to church in a long, long time.
Okay.
But when Father Maurikas was the priest here, I was in the altar with him
Oh, okay.
for years,
Long
and
time.
I thought he was a great guy.
Well, the new one is a surprise because
Yeah.
he has red hair and a ponytail.
I know, he's-
That's not what I
he's-
expected to see.
I think he's
from him.
Irish or
He is
Scottish or
Irish.
something like that.
Timothy Curran
And he's a
is
Greek
his name.
Orthodox priest now. He
Sure,
really is
sure
into it.
is. It's a lot of surprises in life.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Yeah, you as well.
One more question for me is, what do you have what do you see as the possibilities of local fundraising? Like in the actual community? I know it's difficult to do that, but any ideas there?
Like what are sources of fundraising here?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what are you asking?
About local fundraising, just in the town of Barnstable. How we're reaching out to people on behalf of the cause.
Have you connected with the, what is it just called, the Cape Cod? There's a foundation, I think it's just called the Cape Cod Foundation.
Yeah.
And they have a number of funds. They're quite large, actually, in the amount of funding that they have. And it's mostly money by wealthy local people, family foundations, that they want someone to manage what they give away and where they give it away.
Yeah, that's through Cape Cod Healthcare, the Cape Cod Foundation.
Cape Cod Foundation, yeah. Yeah, I would think that would be a great place to start. I don't know if they have any connection with government-related funding,
They
but
manage a lot of municipal funds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know somebody that works there.
I think that might not be a bad place to take a look. I'm still relatively new to the area, so I'm really permanent here about a year now, but
Where does the Council on Aging meet? Here?
Well, simply, where do they meet?
At their building, don't they?
At the senior center on 28
Center,
next to BUES,
Yeah.
Barnstable United.
Jeff,
Okay.
I know a lot
By the
about
high
that
school.
committee if I can contribute anything to you.
Oh, about the Council on Aging?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
sure.
attend their meetings regularly.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say some comment?
sure.
Okay. A week from today, they'll have their only meeting in June 17th. So if you wanna go to it, you can go to it.
I've actually been going to all the meetings since
You've been going?
November, December, yeah.
Yes, you've been there before.
Yeah, I
Okay.
recognize you.
And they need people with financing. If some of their grants that they had expired and they're scrambling around, so they probably would welcome your input. You're there's only 2 men and it's all women the rest of the way, so you have a majority there. But it's a good group of people. One thing that they do that many committees don't do is that they really have roundtable talks. Everybody contributes to conversation on everything they do, and that's a very constructive way to
Yeah.
run a committee.
Yeah, no, it's been a good experience so far.
Thought that would help you.
Yeah. I think, doesn't the salaried employees do the grant writing for the COA for the most part?
I
It's
don't
not really the
know.
board
They're
that
supposed
does
to,
it that much.
yeah, they're supposed
Yeah.
to.
I'm sure the board can be helpful or
I
contribute.
just lost her
Yeah.
first name over
Kelly?
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, anything else? We got 15 minutes, so we gotta finish business, because we gotta be out by 4:30.
Really? Who's coming?
Human Services.
Oh.
Geez, Seth, I don't understand why you're yelling at me like that.
Curious.
You're there on time, we don't have to worry about it.
I know. I'm
Stephanie,
late, I'm late.
Unfortunately, we're at a time of the year where even if we were to approve of your slot today, the first reading wouldn't take place until the end of January, and the second reading, the nomination for the position wouldn't take place until the end of July. So
Of next year, 2026.
of
No,
July this year.
Oh.
your first reading would be end of June.
Yeah.
June 25th,
That
and then
would
the
be the
next
first
meeting is
reading.
July 17th for the
And by
17th,
reading, you mean
so-
just like.
It has to go,
announcement,
well, yeah, it has to go in front of the council, it's called a first reading.
Reading, okay,
Then it passes, then it goes for a final vote.
I see.
July
So the second
17th.
reading.
So that means July 17th would be the earliest you could formally join the, but as Larry said, anybody is welcome
Right,
to go to the
right,
meetings.
which is
So-
nice,
so-
yeah. Yeah,
So what Charlie's saying is be ready July 18th.
Okay, well, I have been going to all of them because I thought it'd be interesting and wanted to know what I might be getting myself into. Obviously can't vote, haven't been able to vote, and it's been good so far.
Great, well, thank you so much for coming in. All right.
So will someone let me know?
Yes.
I've asked
Yes, I'll be in touch with you tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm pretty
what's-
confident you're okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
what's your name?
One
Oh,
Lovell.
Cindy, oh,
Yeah.
okay, good.
Yeah, the one
You-
that's been corresponding back and forth with you,
Okay, you
trying
called,
to get
you're
you
the one
in.
that called me?
Yes,
Okay, gotcha,
yes.
very good. All right, well, nice to
Nice
meet
to
all
meet
of
you,
you.
Stephanie.
Seth, did you have a chance to look at the list?
Yes.
To see if you have any issues,
Kalispera.
because we can pass this by all
Probably need
consent.
to.
I don't have any issues in here.
Just as a
Constantinos.
point of interest, the chair did ask that I remove the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission until the June 24th meeting. All other ones are okay.
First.
So we're gonna bifurcate that one?
Yes, yeah, we're just gonna remove it and not vote on it. But if the committee members are okay with all the other
Yeah.
ones, you can do reappointments to a board, committee, and commission as written.
Yeah.
With the removal of the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission.
Oh, I thought you said you were from Worcester.
Somebody wanna make a nomination?
Well, why are we gonna cut that one out?
Gotcha.
Because there's an ongoing, it's tied up in legal right now. And there's an ongoing, I don't know anything about it, I was just asked to pull.
With the last name,
I was not privy to any
I
of the
asked you if you knew my
Okay.
dad. He was
Sounds great.
big in the church growing up.
I'll move to accept these with the
Yeah.
exception of the
Constantino.
Hyannis Main Street Historic
People
Waterfront
call you for
District
first
Commission.
name.
Charlie.
Charlie, okay.
Yes, that's written.
All right.
As written.
Yeah, you too.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor of the reappointments with the removal of the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District?
Aye.
Sounds good.
All right.
Alright, let's do,
We had one resignation, Andy Machado on the Board of Assessors.
okay,
And then we had two requests from the Council on Aging, requests from the chair and the board members to move Christine Beer from an associate member to a regular member to a term expiring 6/30/2028. And then the same thing for the historical. Barbara Cugino DiBiase serve as the historical representative member to the Community Preservation Committee.
the Christine Beer I have to recuse. Christine Beer I have to recuse, I have a business interest with her, so I gotta recuse from that.
You have to recuse from that. And we can carry it over till the next one, but it's up to you guys.
No, these guys can vote on it, we got
Okay.
quorum.
All right.
And we don't have anything with conservation right now?
No, Kristen, the chair of the committee asked me to pull those.
Okay.
Until the June 24th meeting is when most of the regulatory boards will appear on there. But yes, no, that one,
Okay, so this is, we've agreed to putting these all together and vote,
Yeah, we just voted on that.
okay? And he left for
For this,
Christine
for-
Beer.
the next one, okay?
Because we were gonna recommend that she be moved from associate member to
To
a regular
fill
member.
up the position of Andy Machado. I'll
No,
second.
that one's just gonna be, oh yeah, we're gonna do Andy Machado as a
yeah, he's the
regular
Board
member.
of
So we'll
Assessors.
do that one. I move that we recommend Andy Machado for the Board of Assessors as regular position.
I'll
Well,
second.
he's resigning,
Oh.
so you just have to accept his resignation.
I move that we accept his resignation. All in favor?
Second. Aye.
All right. Now for the request from the chair of the Council on Aging to move board member Christine Beer from an associate member to a regular member to a term expiring 6/30/2028.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, now he can come back in for the next one. He does not have an issue.
Jeff?
He doesn't have an issue with that.
Allowed back in?
Yeah.
You're allowed back in. Now you're doing the Historical Commission, a letter from the chair and the members of the committee requesting Barbara Cugino DiBiase serve as a historical representative member to the CPC committee to a term expiring 6/30/2028.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. You just got the minutes. Oh, I'm sorry, today's interviews.
I'm ready to move them both forward,
Great, yeah.
to be honest with you.
I would say yes to that.
So do you have to do one at a time, or can we just do
Yeah,
them both?
because they're two different
Does
committees.
somebody wanna nominate,
I'll nominate Stephanie Parrish to a member position on the Council of Aging.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and then the next one,
I'll nominate Frank Ward for the CFAC committee. One
Second.
position, 6/30/27.
all right. Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Fabulous.
two good candidates, really.
And then public comment, if you wanted to do that with Mr. Moran, or you can do your minutes.
Let's do the minutes, we'll say public comment for last.
All right. The Appointments Committee meeting minutes of April 1st, 2025. Did anybody have any corrections or issues or problems?
Not me.
All right. All those in favor of accepting them?
Aye.
Abstain.
All right, thank you very much.
Mr. Moran?
I don't really have a lot. Jeff and I have talked informally about the idea of going over chapter 37 of the town code.
Excuse me, my mother's dog is calling, excuse me.
Okay. And the main purpose was that it was way out of date. And so he and I were gonna get together, either I would welcome you plus Kristen. If you wanted to participate, it could be open like this or whatever we wanna do. So another one that we worked on is more based upon last year's struggles that you had with reappointments. This year you seem to have it under control, but there's a lot of other things that were left out of things to
Excuse
consider.
me, I'm sorry, I gotta go.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll take over for you. No, so, anyway, so I've got a draft of that, which was dated May of this year, so if you wanted to look at it, I can circulate it to you. I really don't know if there's any other things. I've tried to keep this committee together with some of the other committees and not merge them all together. But the simplest way to do it is just for me to send it to you through Cindy. Just send them and then you can look at them. And then the next meeting you have, you can decide if you want to talk about them then. If that's a recommendation. Does that make sense to you?
Sure.
Sure, you can send them to me, Larry, and what I'll do is give them to all the committee members and then, because Kristen's not here today, so.
No. If I have trouble finding it in my computer, I'll bring you hard copies and
Okay.
let you send them.
That's fine. That's fine as well.
Right, so I was gonna do that at the beginning, but I thought, once I saw the two people here, I thought that was gonna be more interesting. And I thought definitely with the aging, because I don't know how I got involved in it, but I'm now involved in it, so,
Good.
no problem.
Gotta stay busy.
As John said, how many committees are you scouting? Probably 8 or 9 of them right now. All right.
Okay,
Thanks, Larry. Motion to adjourn. I move to adjourn.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You are adjourned.
We're all set here.